Okay, good. Is it good evening? Good evening, team. I'm Fitzpatrick Kapepe. I'm based in Zambia. I do quite a number of things. One of them is I enjoy manufacturing chartered accountants. That's the first thing that I do. I used to be an examiner for our CA Zambia here, which I decided to stop. Besides that, I'm in the energy sector. I'm in the ESCOM of Zambia. I don't know if you have heard of a company called ZESCO, where I work as a chief financial analyst. So I build models, financial models in the energy sector. And I also run a very small consultants firm called Roy Consult Advisory. We've had quite a number of companies, some of them multinational companies that have engaged us to provide a very humble service to them. I'm done with my introduction.
Hi, Fitzpatrick. Thank you again for allowing to meet with us. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Rico.
Okay, thank you very much. As you can see, that's Rico Malaza. I'm structural engineer in Zutari. Yes, we've done a couple of projects for ZESCO. Yeah, for the power station, that side. And I'm based in Pretoria, doing postgrad at University of Pretoria. And yeah, so we consulted with you, seeing that obviously this is part of your expertise, and with hopes that we can gauge a bit of understanding through your assistance in tackling this project that we have at hand.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Evening, Fitzpatrick.
Good morning. Good evening, Pharaoh.
Yes, I think Rico has already mentioned the group assignment part, but I'm full fellow, and then I don't think we are in two different sectors. You are in energy. I'm in the automotive manufacturing sector.
Sure.
Yeah, you see. Yeah, so I currently work for Nissan in South Africa, manufacturing plant. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a process engineer there. Process engineer / process improvement. Yeah, that's my role there.
Okay, so you build vehicles.
Yes, we build vehicles.
I'll need one.
If only it were that easy. Normally you build what you don't drive. You drive what you don't build.
Yeah, definitely. It's true.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Fulufero. Siamo?
Yeah. Hi there, Patrick. Yeah, Siamo here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I'm in the insurance sector. I'm a digital assessor at Old Mutual Insure. So yeah, that's just about it, man, about me.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there was another group of your colleagues who are also actually it's the same assignment, I think, at the University of Pretoria. There were about 4 or 5 of them that I had quite long sessions for them, because I know we'll not have that long session with you guys, because I've already built what I was building with them. So there will be just some few clarifications here and there, but there were about 4. I think there were 4, not 5. This assignment, I was given some few additional data set. I think where we had some scenarios from CN1 to about CN4, and there's some USA and China. And I'm told with your assignment, you just have to focus on China, isn't it? And the best case scenario of CN4. So let me just read it through out. I read it out, then start putting in some few points that you can use as the invaluable insights into understanding this whole assignment. Then I'll send, I know at least I have Rico's email address. I'll send a financial model. We'll try to make some few adjustments. I'll explain how it works, what is in there, and what you can actually include or add on. Okay, so the overviews, as you'll be aware, Eskom has a considerable problem with carbon emissions. As a result, the management have decided to investigate the techno-economics of carbon capture and storage, CCS. Your team has been asked to prepare a techno-economic assessment based on the approach of the base case CN4 of the attached article, which I had access to the attached article. CN4 is similar in size and designed to one Medupe generating unit. So, Medupe actually has 6 such units, although at least 2 are not operational as yet. We assume that Eskom want only to decarbonize the flue gas from a single 794 megawatt unit, which is close enough for a study to the CN4 base case, and the data from the paper can be used without modification, including the financial parameters as applicable to China. Assume the capital cost and operational parameters for your model as used in CN4. Now do the following. Draw a diagram showing how decarbonization works. You are engineers, I'm sure you know that. I'm interested on the other components. Develop a spreadsheet model which reproduces the calculations of SN4. I suggest that you use the levelized cost of electricity template, at least initially, and adjust the cell values to allow for a phased construction period. Calculate the carbon dioxide capture cost using the method of the article. Calculate the impact on the levelized cost of electricity for Medupe. Assume that the present levelized cost is 800 rands per megawatt hours, or 8, is it cents? You use cents, huh, in South Africa?
Yes.
Or 8 rand, sorry, 8 rands per kilowatt hour, if you want to bring it to kilowatt hours. Now calculate the additional cost for the consumer, assuming that the project will proceed, reporting the value in R, that is rand per kilowatt hour. You're probably paying about 2 rands per kilowatt hour at present. So, but you have to do your computations, because then what you're actually paying, because there's an issue here, is what is cost reflective against what is actually being paid, what you're paying. So we're actually saying that the customers are paying about 2 rands per kilowatt hour, but then you are trying to find the levelized cost of energy. The levelized cost of energy is basically a cost reflective tariff. And there are few inputs that you look at in computing your levelized cost of energy. All you're trying to do there is, what are the costs incurred? You're looking at from the CapEx part and the operational costs. So when you have these costs, say the project takes 20 years, like in this case, I think it was 25 years. Say the project takes 25 years, that is a commercial operation. Then you have maybe 3 years of
construction.
During construction, sorry. We always need to know that when you're trying to make a decision today for costs, you have costs that will be incurred in the 2nd, 4th, 5th, 20th year. What should always come into our mind is the present values, that we should now discount these numbers to today so that we make a decision. So we'll be looking at all those things. So meaning that we are going to discount all these costs that is during construction and during operation. So discount the cost so that we get the net present value. After getting the net present value, we'll not stop there. Based on the levelized, based on the method that you use in computing levelized cost of electricity, it also means that we would need to discount the energy generated during those periods as well. It does not really make sense, but that is how it is, and it works out well. So in year one, maybe we're not in year one, we discount that. Year 2, year 3, year 4, up to year 2025, or in the 25th year. So we'll deal with those items. Let me just get the article. I think I have it somewhere. How is the weather in South Africa?
It's a bit cold in Pretoria. Yeah, because winter this side is actually bad. Yeah, and that side?
It's slightly cold, but obviously we can't compare our weather here with the Pretoria and generally South Africa. South Africa is cold. Last time I went there, I almost regretted.
So you're not looking at being a part-time lecturer, Fitzpatrick?
It's just that I've been quite busy, so I decided that I'll just be doing it in the evenings and in the comfort of my home.
Yeah, because I think you can fit that role. You're actually
sure.
Yeah, your contact is very good.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. I can see that document. Let me check from this side. The accompanying document where you have the standard, where you have the.
Must I quickly send it?
Okay. Okay. I think I'll find it from here. Let's see. Maybe just send it. Just attach, yeah.
Okay, send it on your Gmail.
Okay, let me just wait for it. Okay, I think I've received it. Let me just open. Mm-hmm. So I guess you have these formulas that you're going to follow when you're trying to come up to compute your carbon dioxide capture costs. Then my area of interest are things they are somewhere down here. And go back to. Because the first thing that you do with your computations, it will first need to find the cost of energy or cost of electricity. That is your total annual cost divided by the power generated. Then you have method computation number 2, which then you actually use this. We know the cost of carbon dioxide captured. We have been given the numbers, and I think I did actually put them in the model of per ton. So you have the cost of electricity with capture minus blah, blah, blah. So we have these formulas until you go to your cost of carbon dioxide avoided, but that is for you engineers. So let's move on. I go first to the model. I expanded the template. These are a few things that I had to include. First thing that we know is that the Medupe, is it Medupe core power plant? Is it Medupe or Medupe?
Medupe.
Medupe, okay. It is 700 and let me do this. This is megawatt, which I have here. So I have 794 megawatts. Did the computations. I had to change some few things on the capex per kilowatt hour, which is, so I have to take it to megawatts. Okay, so already in megawatts, the other one. Let me do this. Okay. Then those on non-fuel, which I'll be explaining. Maybe let me start from here so that you understand where these numbers are coming from. On capex, so on capex, the source is from the CN4. This is where it's coming from. The numbers are coming from here. Here, the capital cost. So we're using the China numbers. Where I got this. I got 690 and 486, but I'm sure if there are any capital costs that you are able to see, maybe those we can use them. But I think after reading the whole document, I was able to get these two numbers. In China, the 690 and 486. And that is where I got these numbers, 690 and 486 as capital costs for the baseline plant, then the capital cost for the capture system. Because I think what your assignment is very clear, Rico. You've been told that we maintain the financial parameters from your article. So we're using those financial parameters in trying to model this.
Can I have a quick question there, Professor Patrick?
Please.
Yes. Looking, I see those capital cost financial parameters that you use there from table 3. I wanted to get clarity of this table 5, which speaks about financial assumptions too. So they also have, if you can, table 5.
Table 5, okay.
Yes.
Going there.
Yep. So in table, okay, that's 6. Right?
Oh, okay. So where's step 5? Is it up? Up there. No, this is table 3, table 2.
I think it's down. Down. Yeah, there we go. So here they have, if you look there at the bottom, they have the capital cost, they have non-fuel OPEX and OPEX. So I wanted to know that capital cost there, if someone actually used that, Because I think when I was looking at it, I was looking at these financial parameters because they gave us the capital cost, the non-fuel OPEX, and then the OPEX, which I think, variable based on your variable and fixed.
Okay, it actually makes sense. I think the first group didn't see this part. I think we went more on the other one. And if you check for the numbers that I got up there, they were for a base case CN1, because I could not find for CN4. Yes. I didn't see this part. I know I must have used some of them like on fuel or non-fuel OPEX, but I didn't see on capital cost. So we have on capital cost, which is
without capture and with capture.
So we got China. I think I was picking the last numbers, China plant with capture. I think I was picking these numbers. Let me just check which ones. Okay.
19.6, yes.
So I'll come here. First, I'll remove these numbers. I'll need to put the numbers here. Okay, let me just do this part. So I'll say capital cost. That. I'll put it here. I just want to check where we have the 9.6. Okay, 9, is it 9?
19.6.
So meaning I'll pick this 32.3.
Yes.
So this is at 2.3 megawatts. So meaning that the capital cost in here is actually going to be this times that times the 794 megawatts times 24. That is in a day, because that is megawatt per hour. So you multiply it in a day, you have 24 hours. Then in a year, you have 365.
Yes.
Olufelo, is it okay? You understand this part?
Yes. No, I'm in total agreement with that.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So I'll have this number. Since I've raised the zeros here, I've raised the millions, it's just fair that I do this. Okay. So we have $224 million for this particular project. Do this part. Okay. So meaning that if we are to find per megawatt, okay, we found per megawatt hours is that, but I think my interest is on this one because it's in kilowatt. So in short, we have these numbers here. Okay. So in kilowatt hours, what we have just done, we have the capital cost divided by the megawatts, so that we just get megawatts. Okay, in terms of kilowatts, meaning that down here, I'll also have to do this times 1,000, giving us kilowatt hours. I hope I'm okay, because you have the C5, which is megawatts, taking it to kilowatt hours, or taking it to kilowatt, converting to kilowatt, is megawatt times 1,000, which is that. Then down here, I'm saying that we have this number. Oh, we have this number. The cost divided by, so let me say times 1,000,000, so that we get it correct. Otherwise, our model is going to get confused. Divided by 794,000 megawatt or kilowatts, which is 282. Okay, so the number is okay. Okay, so I've cut this part. In modeling, Flufero will need to show the source of these assumptions. And this is why I'm showing the source. And in this case, we're getting them from the CN4 document or base case. So where we come up with our own assumptions, then we need to state and justify where we've come up with that assumption. Okay, then the non-fuel OPEX, this number, we have it this side. This is the number that we're getting. Then the variable cost, which is the fuel cost. This is where it's supposed to come from. So let me explain on this part, or let me just redo this. So we have 794. Redo this. We have 794 megawatts. We need to convert the megawatts, which is power, to energy. So in this case, it is megawatt per hour, and we're getting 794. So in a year, how many kilowatt hours are we going to have? Because we are selling kilowatt hours as that is what customers are buying. So the first thing that we will do, we'll first get this 794 megawatts, multiply by 1,000 so that we take it to kilowatts. Then times 24 hours, so that we now move from per hour to a day. Then times 365 days, converting this particular energy to annual, which gives us this number. Okay. Now that we have this number, we are told, let me do this first. On the kilowatt hours, that is the number that we have. We then need now to convert. We then need now to convert the kilowatt hours, the kilowatts, to kilojoules, which is basically kilojoules per hour. So converting from kilowatt hours to kilojoules is 1 to 3,600. Just check on your computations well. So 1 kilowatt is equivalent to 3,600 kilojoules. Vice versa, 1 kilojoule, if I'm not mistaken, is equivalent to about 0.0027 kilowatts. Are we there? Siamo?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you because joules are measured in seconds. I get that. Yeah.
Okay, we have a new entrant. Mutsweni, maybe just introduce yourself. You know, Elon Musk is fighting the bots, eh? we may be having a robot here, so you need to introduce yourself so that you know that you're dealing with a human being. Rico, maybe introduce him on your behalf. I've seen there's a new person there who has joined us quietly.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Olisa, are you there? Oof. Okay, yeah, this is one of our group members, though. It's Olisi.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to fight robots, huh?
Yeah, I understand of this also.
So then, now that we agree that 1 kilowatt is equivalent to 3,600 kilojoules. So if we have 794,000 kilowatts, we'll then now convert that to kilojoules per hour, because this is basically kilowatts per hour, which gives us that number, which is 2.8 million or 2.8 billion kilojoules. I don't want to be like your former president, so I'm not going to read it out figure by figure. You remember Jacob Zuma, the struggles he had in parliament, so I'm not going to do that as well. Maybe you can read it out, Rico. It's 280, what? You remember what you did?
Is it not 2 million?
No,
you didn't use the intelligence. You know,
2 billion.
You see the numbers.
2 billion.
You didn't use the, please read it out.
2 billion. Listen properly.
Don't do like this, like Jacob Zuma.
2,858,400,000. I don't know.
Yes, that's
yes.
Okay. That's yeah, you've gotten right. But intelligence demands that when you check on a number that you can't read out, you need to know that you're not going to read it out perfectly. So you don't need to. You just say 2.85 million. But you had to scratch it, and it tried it 4 or 5 times, huh?
Yeah.
And he made himself into a meme. Okay. So we have the kilojoules per hour, which is that. Then from I don't know if this number, the 80.3, whether it's coming from the other document. Let me just check. We have core price here.
Yes, we do. Table 3.
Okay, in table 3, huh? Which is 80 point something, I think.
80.3, that's correct. On table 3.
Okay, so the core price is 80.3. So we get back there. This is 80.3 per ton. Okay, thank you. So we have 80.3 per ton, but then we are using dry, and I know that the Medupe coal mine that you have, the power station that you have there, it is dry. It's not a wet mine, unless you tell me otherwise. So I used from CN4. I think this is also coming from CN4.
Yes.
Which is 26,187. Just check, confirm that this is the number that is there.
Correct.
So we are actually told that to generate 26,187 kilojoules, we'll need 1 kg of coal. But then the price that we've been given the price per ton. So we know that converting kgs to tons, it is 1,000. Then now we need to find.
Sorry, Patrick, on my side, you froze for a second. I'm just not sure if it was just me.
Okay, okay. So what I'm saying Amo, is that the per kg of core in an hour, per kg of core in an hour, you are able to generate 22,600 or 26,187 kilojoules of power. So we have the core price, which is per ton, dollar per ton. We have the core, which is for specifically for the dry core powered stations, which is 26,187 kilojoules per kg. So we're saying the only task that we have is to convert the kgs into tonnages. So we know that the conversion is 1,000 kgs is equivalent to 1 ton. So meaning that per ton, we need now to actually check how many tons of core do we need per hour. So we did compute the kilojoules per hour. We also have these numbers that we are going to use to compute tonnage per hour. So here now, this is what we are going to do. We'll get the kilojoules per hour. Then we can do this. This, which is kilojoule per kg, which we then now need to convert to tons. So we'll have to divide that and we'll get, what have I done? What did I pick here? So, which is this, sorry, which is that, divide by this, divide by 1,000 kgs. So it gives us 109. So what it means that per every hour, we are consuming or using 956,000. Oh, we are using 109 tons per hour of core. This is per hour. We'll have to convert that so that we know how much or how the quantum of core that is required to run our Medupe plant in a year or annually. How much core do we need? If per hour, we'll need 109. So then it means that if it's per hour, we need 109. Per day would take 24 hours times 365, and it takes us to 956,184. So we have 956,000 tons. This is what we require a year. Why we are doing all this, coming up with all these steps, we want to find the cost. Because that will be now the cost for fuel, what is regarded as fuel OPEX. So after having this number, we can humbly find the cost, how much core we are going to use. So every year, we'll actually be consuming 76 million.
Let's silence Fitzpatrick.
Hello? You can get me?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Are you able? to.
Yes. Can hear you now.
Okay, maybe let me just change my network. I was changing my network. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear
you. Am I clear?
Yes, you are clear.
Okay, thank you. So we are saying this is fuel cost, what is called as fuel cost or fuel OPEX. Which is $76 million. Per month, you will be actually spending about $6 million. So these are the numbers that we have now. We can come this side. This is the variable that we are now getting, the variable cost, which is basically the fuel OPEX, which is the total cost on core divided by your gross kilowatt hours, giving you $0.11 per kilowatt hours. So that is how we're getting those numbers. Then the capacity factor was 57%. I think when you check in one of the tables, there's 57%.
Can I also just ask a quick question, if it's Patrick?
Please do.
Looking at table 5.
Okay, let me go back there. Let me go back there.
The table 5. Okay, sorry, it's not table 5. The capacity table is
I'm with you, Rico.
Yes, I'm just quickly looking for that table. Oh, yes, it's table 7.
Okay.
Yes. So on table 7, I see that for the CN4, you use that 57% as our capacity factor. I just wanted to understand the difference between these two, because we have one of 80% and then we have another one of 57%. So how did we come about looking at the 57%?
Okay. Let me just come here.
There are two calculations there, one for.
Here, okay, let's just go down there. I think there's some few notes. It's on sensitivity analysis. It says shows the effect of capacity factor on cost of electricity for cases CN2 and CN4. For reference, single points corresponding to the cost of electricity for cases CN1 and CN3 at 57% capacity. So meaning that CN1 and CN3 was 57, isn't it? Then says 80%, okay, capacity factor included in the whatever, increasing the capacity factor from 57 to 80% offset about 14% of the increment cost. So what it means then, this is the advantage of having a different group, they see things different. Then what it means is that because I think for reference, single points corresponding to the cost of electricity for cases CN1 and CN3 at 57%. Okay, capacity factors are included in the plot, increasing the capacity factor from 57 to 80%, offsets about 14%. This is just a sensitivity, Rico.
Okay.
I even explained, I actually asked the other group that once they are done calculating the carbon dioxide capture costs and all these other things, once they're done, then they can also organize a day that I can take them through on how we come up with the sensitivities.
Okay.
That is what is there. Okay.
Thank you.
But you still not get it wrong if you decide to use 80% capacity factor. Most of these core power stations, as long as core is there, it's different with solar. They can run at 80%. So if you want, we can use that case that, for example, you can use the 80%. Will still not be wrong. These are just sensitivities. Then now we can create a sensitivity where you show, suppose if the capacity factor is at 80, is at 50, is at 20, is at whatever. So you can use these numbers if you wanted to. There's no problem with that. It's just a matter of choice. But currently what we are saying that the best case is looking at 57% capacity factor. But with the adequate supply of core, you can still have your 80%. Then I computed work. First thing on the CapEx distribution is that this project is going to take for 3 years to build. I think from one of the cases, is it table? There must be a table that actually shows that. Capital expenditure, okay, construction period. So construction period is 3 years, right? And this is how capital will be distributed. In the first year, they'll use 20% of the total project cost, then 50%, then 30% finally in the third year. Is it okay? So we have 20, CapEx distribution 20, 50, 30. So this is how this particular CapEx is going to be distributed. Hello?
Yes, we're still there.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then now, we come to capital structure. Debt financing, if you check again in the table, we are showing that for this particular project, 80% is going to come from debt. So there are two investors, there will always be investors. So investors is either they're investing in equity, then they become shareholders, or they're investing in debt, or it's a hybrid. So in this case, we are saying that there will be equity investors. Obviously, in this case, we assume that it's ESCOM that is going to spend 20% of the counterpart funding. Then 80% is actually going to come in as debt. And we have always been taught in business schools that debt is cheaper than equity. And this is a very simple understanding. Most people always say, no, debt cannot be cheaper than equity. These theories, no, it's not true, because the fact is that when you're getting financing, you actually get a loan, you go say to China Exim, Indian Exim, DBSA, and all this. You'll find that the dollar loan will just be about maybe 5%. If it goes above the roof, it will be maybe about 9%. Obviously, there could be some conditions of LIBOR those days when there used to be LIBOR plus the spread. That is now on the interest part. But here we're actually saying that debt will be about 5%. For equity, mostly we peg it at the level of our treasury bills. Suppose I go into passive investment. I use this money, I put it in, I invest it at Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Or I go to Bank of, what is your reserve bank there? It's called what?
SARS, South African Reserve Bank.
South African, yeah.
I go and buy government bonds or treasury bills. What will be the return? So if the return is say 18%, you compare with if you are to invest, if you are to go into debt, you will see that debt is much lower than the return. So using your own money would be expensive because that money, if you are to invest it in other passive investments, such as treasury bills, government bonds, you will get a higher return without doing anything, without having a debt. So this is what we are seeing here, based on that document that we have, where we're getting these financial parameters. We are saying the debt financing is 80%, equity financing, 20%, interest on debt, we're given 5.9, just check in case I made a mistake. Then return on equity requirement, which is 8%. So it is expected that those that are going to invest in equity, they expect a return of 8%. Those that are going to invest in debt, they expect a return of 5.9%. So this is where the whole issue of saying debt is cheaper than equity. Now that we have these numbers, we will need now to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. So we split our project cost by 80-20, giving us 179. These numbers look messed up. Okay, so giving us 180 and equity 45. So how much interest are we going to incur? Annual interest times 5.9, that will be the amount. Here, that is 45, times the return that we're going to be giving our equity shareholders, we'll be giving them that. So when you add the total, it's 14.20. So you say 14.2 divided by the total project cost, which is that, giving us 6%. So this is how we're getting that 6%. Fulofero, are you there? So this is the work that we are going to use.
Yes, I'm here.
To discount our costs and our energy so that we are able to get the levelized cost of energy. Okay. So these numbers have been explained. On capture costs, I'll just put in some few parameters here. I know you will be able to compute whichever day that you would want to come, because obviously you're supposed to submit this, I think, on 9th or so. I'll be very much available for you. We can just go through your computations and see whether you have gotten them correctly. Because I think one of the major variables on computing your carbon dioxide capture cost is basically your cost of electricity. Yes. So once you can compute your cost of electricity and your cost of electricity, we are looking at the cost, your annual cost divided by your energy. And the annual cost, please, you don't look at CapEx, you're actually looking, because then you have assumed that you only start generating or emitting carbon dioxide when you have started operating, Rico, isn't it?
Yes.
So the other costs that come in, which are CapEx, capital investments, during construction or whatever, it is not going to count. What is going to count is that as you generate these costs, especially on fuel, the fuel, as you burn that coal, you are also emitting carbon dioxide. So we need to know what are the costs divided by the energy that you're going to get. That will be your first part of your formula. Then you go to the other one now where you look at your COE, capture, less, whatever, and you get all those numbers, which once you're done, then you can plug them into the model. At least I've created that.
Also, Fitzpatrick, what you're saying now is, as you said about those total annual costs that we'd be looking at, it's going to be obviously looked at once the plant is in operation, once it starts emitting carbon dioxide, right? Yes. So the initial investment is just that investment that is needed in preparation for that system. So in looking at the annual cost, we're only going to be looking at the operation, the OPEX. Is that what you're trying to?
On the COE, On the cost of electricity.
Cost of energy, yes.
Yes, but on the levelized cost of energy, you then now need to push in all the costs. That is both your capital costs and your operational costs.
Okay.
On the cost of electricity, why you're actually looking at only the annual cost, Rico, it is assumed that at the time that you're building that plant, you're not going to emit any cost, any carbon emissions.
Yes.
So this is where this formula is coming from. Let me just get back there. So you see, you have your total annual cost divided by your power generated.
Yes.
So if you wanted to compute, because you can compute your emission or whatever year on year, or you can even get your average total annual cost from year 1 up to year 20, up to the last period. And year 1, I'm assuming that year 1 in this case is your commercial operation. Or you can pick for the first years, there's no problem. You still have those numbers. You can still compute those numbers. Okay. So we come this side now. We have the size of the facility, which these numbers are picking from the other side. They are not even supposed to be blue. If we had to follow financial modeling coding, mostly they are supposed to be black, but those that you had coding, you can put them in blue, but it doesn't matter for now. But we needed to have that color code so that when you check on the numbers, you know that these numbers, they are hard coded or they are not hard coded. So we have our initial investment, which we have already shown there. And do this. So initial investment, this should be in dollars, right? So I'll do like this. Okay. So because $224 million. So we have the operations and maintenance. These are basically the fuel costs, which is your 0.01 dollars per kilowatt hour times the number of hours. This is the number that you're getting from here. This is the variable cost. So they are connected. Let me do this so that you're able to see. C7 and H18. So C7, okay, these are non-fuel costs times the H18. Where's H18? Yeah, times the kilowatt hours. So we have those numbers. Then we have the variable cost, which is basically fuel, which is this number. Capacity factor, then you have the annual electricity output, which is basically the net after you have factored in your CF, which is capacity factor. And the entry date, we are assuming that the model starts on 31st December 2020. So these are your initial investments, because your total investment is 226. So 20% falls in year 1. Or now, that is what you are going to spend. You are going to spend now 20%. Then at the end of the year, which is year 1, you're going to spend 112, then 67, split by a 20-50-30 ratio. Okay. Here, once you do your computations on the carbon dioxide emission or capture costs, we'll just plug them under the operations up down there. So we have the fuel costs, which are these numbers. Unfortunately, I didn't see any escalations. If there's any inflation, please let that inflation be factored in here. I didn't see any.
Okay, no, the professor said there's no need to include inflation.
Okay.
For this, yeah.
So giving us the total cost, those costs that we're getting from there. Then we have our discount factor. Obviously now, the value of money now will be equal to now because we are making a decision now. So if you have $2, it will be $2 now. So in year 0, we'll have 100%. Then now we can do our computations in getting our discount rates and all that, which gives us these numbers. Do this. Okay, which is basically 1 divided by 1 plus number there. Which is that. Okay. So if you come here, which is the same numbers. Okay. So these are the discount factors up to year 27. Remember that you have the first 3 years, which is during construction, then afterwards is commercial operation. So like I said, on getting your LCOE is basically getting your NPV, your cost, which is the NPV for your total cost. Here on total cost, you're actually looking at capital plus OPEX. Then whatever number you have that number. Then you divide. Sorry. You divide by the energy. I'll call you in class, in the next 20 minutes. Yeah, I will watch. So you have the energy, also we get the NPV. So cost divided by energy, which you also discount, it is actually going to give us a levelized cost of electricity. So this is what was done here in your model. What we did with this model, if you check what you have, the construction period was only 1 year, so I had to expand it so that it has the first 3 years. Yeah. So you have your total, which is the present value, that number. Then also on the NPV, this is the number that you're going to have here. Okay. So we have these numbers. But then I was thinking that, and this is just something that maybe we need to discuss here. On the energy, the NPV of the total energy, I believe that it is a bit misrepresented because this model is assuming that you have to discount your energy from year 1, yet year 1 was part of your construction period.
Yes.
So for me, I would rather, because you're starting from here, I would rather this part, if I was to modify this, it would be like this. This is how I would look at it. the model, the way it was, where it was just 1 year construction period, it was fine. Because then, where you're actually starting, you're discounting your energy, because this energy you're going to generate it. It's assumed that if you are generating it at the end of the period, if you are generating at the end of the period, then you have to discount it. So these are the things that now we have to actually check. How do we discount this particular energy? What should we do? Do we assume that in year 1 that you have generated this energy, you are not going to discount it? You are going to regard it as at 100%. Then now in the subsequent years, you start discounting. I'll leave it up to you. I know next time we meet, we can now discuss. I have my own views. Because for me, I would have also assumed that from here, in year 1, because this energy is not going to be generated at the end of the period. You get that record? Just in this 3rd year, which is the first year of commercial operation, and these are assumptions that I can state because you have to write 1 or 2 things, is that the moment you switch on Medupe power station, that same day, you start generating energy.
Yes.
So time factor is not that much. So in simplifying my model, I can even say from this year, in the year that we are generating this particular energy, I'm not going to discount it because it's real time. The first day I'm generating and it goes. Unless if I want to put in a factor, that's just that factor which shows that the power that will be generated, say after 6 months, it will be subjected to time value. But then I'll be complicating the whole thing. So I can assume that if I was to do this, I'll put in my assumptions and say, in the first year, in the COD, okay, of the commercial debt or operation, but let me say in the first year of commercial operation, it will be assumed that the power that is generated there is not going to be discounted because it's on real time. Then in the 2nd year, I can now start discounting. The 3rd year, I can start discounting and forth and whatever. I know I never discussed these things with the other group, but I've been thinking over it. I have my own views, but I want you to think and maybe do a bit of some research. Then we can come back again. But this is my view.
Yes, I think I also did that when I also generated, but I say that you started from year 0. So I started from 1, 2, 3 up until 28. But for the first 3 years, I didn't discount the energy because I looked at it in that eye that the moment the energy will start being discounted is when it's actually getting generated. Mm-hmm. That is after the construction phase.
Mm-hmm. And you know for sure that you are not generating, because this time value thing comes in where you're saying, what we are going to generate at the end of the year, let's discount it to today. But you know that power doesn't work like that. The moment you switch on the machines, you start generating that power.
100%.
Fulufelo, what are your views?
I think the explanation makes sense that you're not necessarily gonna, charge during construction because you're not producing anything, and either way during construction, you're also not making anything in return as yet. So I think the only time you get to charge is when you start to distribute, which will be after the 3 years of the construction. That's also when you are also getting a charge for the services you're providing.
Sure, 100%. So this is how then now you're going to get your levelized cost, which will be at 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Then, obviously, you need to change this to rand per kilowatt hour. You may need to find your foreign exchange rate. What's the rate? What is how much rand do you need to buy a dollar?
15 rand 0.98.
15 rand 98 cent.
Okay. 15 rand
98 cent.
Okay, like this.
Yes.
So meaning that if you have this part, it will be how do we? I hope I'm getting it right. I don't want to be embarrassed mathematically. I'm multiplying. Is it something like this?
Yes.
So I'm sure once you put in your capture cost and other things, you have a very considerable number. But the 4 cents per kilowatt hour for coal mining power stations, like in India, it's okay. Some places a bit, I think it would even go to about maybe about 7 cents, maybe 5 to 7 cents, somewhere there. But depending on the input cost. But obviously for China, this is normal. But in Africa, I think there'll be the costs are slightly up there.
Okay.
I end here. What you can do when you are done polishing your thing, pushing in your CO2 capture costs, we can still have again another maybe just 30 minutes. We look at the numbers and create. It's just that you haven't been taught to creating sensitivities. If that was there, then I was going to show you how you come up with very nice sensitivities.
I think they did stipulate about the sensitivity in the assignment. The second to last, I don't know if you have the question paper there, so you opened it.
Just check.
If you can scroll down a bit to the end. The second last point.
Okay, sensitivity for analysis. Okay. So what you can do once you are done, I'll send this model. Then once we are done as a team, you can send it to me so that I put all the necessary sensitivities. But then, okay, let me just check what is there. So that we can, afterwards, we can just check what are the main variables that we can look at. We can mimic what is in the paper, the sensitivities that they use in there, and those are the ones that you model.
Okay, okay.
So before you check out, I've always, and this is what we do, imagine you go to a hotel, a lodge. At the time of checking out, you don't just leave the keys and go. You sign in papers and all that. So even here, we normally do the checkout just to tell me what you have learned or just your experience about us meeting. So I'll start with Rico. Yeah.
Oh, start with Rico, sorry.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Fitzpatrick. I think you made everything clear, and I've understood how actually the cost distribution goes about, how to consider, how to do your calculation, your CO, the difference between your CO and your LCO, and how the actual parameters were formulated, because I think that was the main issue, like converting of your kilojoules per hour and stuff, and making sure that the variable cost comes from this. So the explanation was quite broad and made everything make sense, because I did watch the other video that you posted, because on on your LinkedIn profile. That's where I went in and I watched that YouTube video. So when I came here, I looked at other things that maybe I can come in with questions and make sense and with the actual paper that you have. So it was very, very much productive and made so much sense to me.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next.
All right, Patrick. Listen, man, you're actually very good at what you do. You know, and funny enough, the professor's leaving, man. You know, you should be taking up that position. I don't want to lie.
Maybe I should come to South Africa.
Definitely, bro. I don't want to let you. The upcoming what's this class will actually benefit, because I don't know about my teammates, but then I can actually hear the prof, bro. Whenever he's actually doing his stuff there, I get lost from the get-go. So you are very particular in what you do. You show us the way, and then you're very detailed, and you carry us with you throughout the process. So I'm very much grateful for that. You did shed some light, and then it's becoming more and more clearer. I won't lie. So yeah, thank you very much for that, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Folofelo?
It's very eye-opening, from an engineering background, when you start to go into detailed finances like this, and coming from an automotive background. Yeah, at first, now all I was seeing here was just numbers, but now everything talks to one another. I think it's your explanations were very thorough and precise. It's actually something that gets someone thinking. I know sometimes people just get ignorant. You don't even want to know how they calculate the cost of electricity. You just, I'll pay whatever they say it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's always nice to know the background, where they actually, come up with these things. How do they do those things? Yeah, your explanations were very clear. They shed a lot of light. And thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't hear Msweni. I haven't heard his voice. I don't know if he's around. Rico, is he even there?
Yes, I think. Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to join since 6:30. I'm not sure if there was something wrong on my internet, but I've been trying to join, and it seems like I missed out on a lot, because a lot of things which are really being done here, which I would also like to ask questions, if you don't mind, to clarify before. I'm not sure if you read it already. On the construction phase, I see you have initial investment here. So I'm not sure, how did you get to that point?
Okay, can anyone from the group just explain how we got the initial investment? Now, come here.
Yeah, so remember, the construction is phased, so there's percentages. So I think on the first year it's 20, the second year it's 50, the third year it's 30. So we took our capex, sorry, and then we divided it into according to those percentages. So Patrick, if you
and to start with, you have explained so well, but where the numbers are coming from the CN4 scenario, where the capital cost is $32.3 per megawatt hour.
Oh yeah,
so
we got that from.
Oh,
okay. Jeez, even testing my concentration.
Yeah.
So if you go to table, I think it's table 5. That's where we got it. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we got our cost. He's just gonna go there now. On table 5, yes. So can you see on your far right, we took the capture. What's this?
Capital cost
plant for China. Yes. So can you see the capital cost there? That's how much that's the one that we took. Yeah, you highlighted that. So the 32.3. That's what we took. And then going into the spreadsheet, so you need to align that with our our capacity, right? The size of our thingy. So it's 794, I think, the size of our plant. Yeah. So you do the math there. I think it's 32.3 megawatt per hour. Yes. Then I think you multiply, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you get that amount. Yes, capital cost baseline. Okay, yeah, there's just too much going on. But then I understand what happened. Yeah.
If anything, instead of us saying capital cost baseline, whatever, we can just say the project cost.
Yeah. So that's how much you get. That amount is in millions. What is the 225? It's in millions. Yeah, it has been actually rounded off to 225, but then it's actually 224. So it's been rounded off. Right. So from that particular amount, then we factor in the percentages of the phasing period of the construction phase. Right. So you apply the 20, the 50, the 30.
Oh, okay. No, it makes sense.
On your first year, yeah. So 20% of 225, that's your first year. 50% of the remaining. Sorry. So the 50% is of the remaining amount. I'm just not sure if I get it right.
It's like this. So from the 224 million.
Oh, we go back to the original amount.
So
okay,
like
I get it.
Amount distributed.
Yeah, no. Sure, I get it now.
So this is how you're distributing it. And from the modeling point of view, we are assuming that this year one is actually given on the first day of the year. So meaning that if you are given this will be now, then this one will be the following year, which gives you 1 year, which then you need to discount. So this one we are not discounting, it's 100%. We assume that the 44.93, by the time we actually start constructing, on the first day of the month, that money has landed into our books, and there's no factor whatsoever that we're going to discount it to make a decision now.
Okay.
So meaning that if this is in now, which is year 0, which is now, meaning that this one will be at the end of the year after 12 months. So this will be after 12 months, then this now from year 0, this will be 24 months. So this is why the first component, if you come this side, we are actually not discounting it. It's coming in at the actual value.
Okay, on the HP.
So it's just the assumption that we are creating. Okay, thank you so much. Rico is in contact when you need my services, whichever day, whichever time, you can just let me know and I'll be there.
Okay, no, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. I think
thank you so much, and bye-bye. Have a lovely day.
Okay, a quick one, sir. You're gonna email that the model?
Yes.
Or?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch.
Sure, thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.